Welcome everyone to the 2024 Rugby 15s Club Northern Super Regional Championships. My name is Nick Cummings. I'm joined in the booth with Lance Kavanaugh. We have 7 games for you today across 2 fields, 3 here on field 2, and it's going to be an exciting day. Lance, why don't you bring us into this first matchup?
First game of the day, men's Division III, Colorado Springs Grizzlies versus the Detroit Tradesmen. Colorado Springs are coming off a second place finish last year in the USA club rugby scene, losing to the always formidable Austin Blacks. And this year they have a plan of going all the way, getting to that final game and getting over the hump. But they first must face a Detroit Tradesmen team who have been a powerhouse throughout the Midwest for the better of 2 decades. Their Division III team handling business in the Midwest Championships over the fall. And both of these sides are revving to go. Detroit is really trying to show that they are ready to take things over in the Midwest, or represent the Midwest and take things over in our Northern Super Regional. I'm very excited for this game. And Nick, this should be a game of fireworks, but it's just one of a 2-game series. The winner has to win tomorrow. So whoever can have get a win and have the most energy and the most preservation throughout this weekend is going to make it to the Final Four of Division III. I'm very excited.
Me too, yes. And like you said, the winner of the games today will have to play again tomorrow for a chance in that top 4 at Nationals. But let's get this one kicked off, Lance. The Detroit Tradesmen in the blue and the Grizzlies in the white. Detroit kicking off deep to the 22 of the Grizzlies first. And let's see how this opening possession looks. And Colorado is going to elect. They're going to go to the forward pack right away. Colorado putting big numbers at the ruck. Detroit is a bigger side. They want to protect the ball the entire game. Don't want to see it poached. And the kick early from the Grizzlies. Then Detroit looking to go back. But no, lost ball and picked up by Colorado, and they've got some space. They're going to go to their 13 and now throwing it around a little bit. And the kick through from the wiener. He's got some open space, but tracked down from the Tradesmen. And now Detroit working from their own 5-meter line. Gonna go with the box kick. And not in the touch. Stayed along the sideline. And now Colorado with the counterattack. The fullback with the kick up and under. And a mark called by Detroit. Lance, a lot of action here early.
Already, we can already see that there's a little bit of nerves on this Detroit side having an opportunity to really attack around midfield. Aaron pass and Colorado took the ball back and they were on the charge. The kick needs to go to touch whenever they find opportunity to kick for territory, and this one does off the free kick. But already I am sweating. This game looks like it might be laid out for fireworks. And I think the theme of today's game has been laid out in front of us, Nick. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes has the best chance of winning. Looks like Detroit made a mistake early, and Colorado was able to capitalize, get territory, and have a great attacking platform. And we're not even 2 minutes into this matchup, Nick.
Yeah, what an excellent kick from Detroit getting it out of their side. Actually put the ball into Colorado territory right at that 50-meter line. And that's where you might see a 50-22, but Colorado going to use their forwards to get it deeper in Detroit territory. And a big tackle there, driven backwards. Colorado just on the Detroit side of the field, going to find their backs for the first time this game. And a line break early with the offload, and Detroit just able to drag them down, but Detroit missing a few tackles there, able to get the line break for Colorado, but a poach coming through for Detroit. Excellent work by them.
And it seems like they can play really well defensively on the back foot. That is not a place that you want to have to get comfortable in. It's not a place you want to see yourself in often. But Detroit found a way to take in some of that pressure with the half break on the outside by this Grizzly side. And now with another opportunity to get a touch but retain the ball, unlike that free kick we seen less than a minute ago. And do they find touch? They do. So now we see Detroit, almost a parallel situation Attacking platform inside of the 50 on the line out, what Colorado just had a second ago. Colorado choosing to attack off the base of that line out. Let's see what Detroit does, because this really solidifies what their setup is going to be for the day. Let's see if they go middle hit up or go wide.
Yes, this will be the first time we've really seen Detroit with the ball. If they can win their own line out, and they do, it was sloppy, but they come away with it. And now Detroit just looking to settle into this game. They've looked a little sloppy here early, and a knock on from Detroit here early. Just too many mistakes here early for Detroit. They need to get into this game and quickly because the Grizzlies can put points on the board.
Absolutely. And this is a chance for them to wake up. The mistakes haven't cost them anything but maybe some territory. Their defense is holding strong. But again, you got to find a way to minimize these little issues. They were able to get a poach earlier from a line break from Colorado. Their defense is looking sturdy early on, but got to play mistake free. Ball handling errors are up for Detroit.
We're going to see our first scrum of the match and an 8-man pick and go from Colorado back inside this flanker and stolen from Detroit. That's their second of the game. And they're going to look to go quick. The 9 pick and goes. But Detroit inside their 22, now outside their 22. Maybe they would have looked to kick away, but they're going to get the penalty for not rolling away. Good second poach on the day for Detroit here early in this game. Colorado needs to get to those wrecks fast. You saw Lance early in the game, that first minute when Colorado was deep in their territory, sending 3 players into ruck. They know what Detroit is capable of.
Yeah, they over-resourced early and found themselves just a bit late. Now that's a second poach, and it seems to be back-to-back. Right when they get some kind of attacking situation, right when they get a good opportunity to really put their stamp on the game, they turn the ball over.
And a good boot from Detroit, but doesn't find touch. And now Colorado with some space on our short side here. But Colorado seemingly to keep the ball in Detroit territory. Colorado moving the ball cleanly. There again, you see 3 people having to get in that ruck to keep the Detroit tradesmen from poaching it. Now at the 22, the pick and go from the big man. Another pick and go. And stolen yet again from Detroit. That's the third of the game. And they're going to give it to their fullback, Patrick, who's just going to find touch, relieve some pressure. But Lance, that's 3 already today. We've seen Colorado with a majority of the possession, but Detroit able to take it away multiple times in the ruck.
It's a beautiful thing to see attacking rugby, and it's beautiful to see a team that can play a little loose with the ball. You see their offloads are on. They've been offloading the ball left and right, this Colorado side. But Detroit finding these ball carriers isolated and just poach after poach. That third one was as clean as the second. Beautiful play by the Detroit side defensively, but they cannot rely on this for an entirety of a match. I know it's the first bit of the game, first 10 minutes. It really sets the precedent for the game sometimes, and hopefully their offense can find a way to give them some territorial space.
Colorado winning the lineout, but not thrown straight, says the referee. And Detroit electing for the scrum. But Detroit really needs to get out of their own side of the field here, Lance. We saw them kick it deep on the restart. It worked for them, but just a mistake for them at midfield. And ever since then, we've seen Colorado on Detroit's half of the field.
Yeah, and it seems like an opportunity for them to, again, use territory and worry more about protecting their own try line and really attacking. I wonder if they'll go with some kind of hit up here to establish a base to kick from, or where they just go right back to a kicker ready to go to send the ball down the field.
Well, it looks like they're going to use their bigger size and drive Colorado scrum back, but a bad pass from the 9 of Detroit. And, intercepted close to the try line, and Colorado's going to dot it down in the corner. Wow. You thought maybe they'd keep driving the scrum with how dominant it was, but electing to play the ball and just a errant pass, and Colorado picks it up and dives into the try zone. Lance.
We've seen already the handling errors, controlling a lot of what Detroit were doing. The first set piece that they had or the first time they had the ball established, ball thrown behind. And now we're seeing deep in their own try line after a dominant push from their scrum. No blame to be given to that forward pack. They did their job setting a beautiful platform. Unfortunately, scrum half just got a little bit too elevated on his follow through on that pass above the head, and compounding issues is always a way to give up points in this beautiful game of rugby we love. You cannot have an errant pass followed by an offload due to isolation. This Colorado Grizzlies side pressure is tremendous. Gets an interception and a simple fall down for 5 points.
From the sideline. Kick is no good. He hooked it a little bit.
Have we already started to see a trend in this matchup? Defensive pressure from the Grizzlies, offensive prowess from the Grizzlies, and a few of these smaller mistakes from Detroit compounding and turning into points for this Colorado side. But this is a resilient Detroit Tradesmen side. They play in one of the most ESPN classic kind of matchups in the Midwest Championship. So let's see if they can turn this ship around and find a way to settle into this matchup.
Detroit now with the restart off of the boot. He's number 22. That's Toady. I hope he didn't change his jersey early in the match, or before the match, but Detroit already subbing someone in.
Oh my God, fucking right.
10 minutes into the match. And as you said, 2 errant passes, Lance, have gone against Detroit early. Just the simple things everyone works on passing, and it's given 5 points to Colorado here early.
And now is a great opportunity for the Tradesmen. But like we saying, this pressure from this Colorado defense is causing issues, even on that line out that they got back. But Detroit now with an opportunity with some ball in hand.
Detroit winning their line out cleanly, and now working with their forward pack on some pick and goes. Trying to inch their way down. Detroit does not mind slowing this game down, but now they're going to go wide with the backs, and it appeared to be another knock-on from Detroit. Just mistake after mistake here early for them.
I just want to lean on the fact that it's early. I think if this kind of trend continues as we get to halftime and as we move deeper into this game, we can say that it's a major issue. But where we're sitting right now, I want to just lean towards early game jitters, circumstances, and situations, because these seem like easier plays to make. Balls being thrown behind receivers, passes being thrown over their head, balls being thrown too low and out in front. These kind of things may happen early on, but I expect and would appreciate greatly if Detroit tightens in, locks in, and gives us a ball game, because this Colorado side is game for a matchup.
Definitely. Colorado, as you said at the start of the broadcast, second in the nation last year, looking to get first this year. And that ball looked like it went straight into touch off the boot of the fullback. So we will come back to where it was kicked. And just outside the 22, another mistake from this Detroit team deep in their own side of the field.
I mean, we're looking at about 5 unforced errors by Detroit. It's the first 15 minutes. I got to keep stressing how early in this matchup it is, because until the final whistle, we won't know who's locked in really or who's going to get the win. But it's not trending well early for Detroit.
And Colorado only able to capitalize once off of those mistakes. But now with possession, they're going to go wide. They have a numbers advantage. Let's see if they use it. And unfortunately, ball hit the deck, giving the Tradesmen time to cover it up. But a errant pass from Colorado finds themselves back. Now they're going to go back to the forwards, a hit up. And again, you see Colorado not wanting to turn that ball over in the ruck, committing 3 players to each ruck. The wing with a kick over the top saw some space, and Detroit going to work with their back 3, but decides to kick it back right away. And that one's going to find touch. Inside is 22, so we're going to have the line out where the ball went into touch.
Great decision to go for the kick. They found a little bit of space. They're using their boot a lot to put a lot of pressure on this Detroit side. I want to see more of Detroit being able to actually attack and run, but it looks like the Grizzlies' plan of action has been to smother that as much as possible, compounded with the few mistakes that Detroit has made over the first earlier parts of this matchup.
And that line out is stolen by Detroit. So they're going to get possession once again. Let's see if they can get something out of it. They haven't gone more than 3 phases without turning it over, and this time they're going to kick away to some space. Picked up from the fullback for Colorado. He's going to run it himself. Try to get it to the wing, but a bounce pass hits the ground, and now Detroit seemingly on the front foot, and yes, in the touch from Colorado, Detroit having something go their way, and now they're going to have a line out inside the 40 of Colorado.
You only had to be perfect a few phases at a time to get some points together. With the attacking platform and circumstances that Detroit are in right now, this is a good moment to take a deep breath. Let's get back to our bread and butter. No need to expand the field if that's not the way we play. No need to do anything outside of what got us at this moment now. And let's see if with a first real opportunity inside of their offensive 40, can they make something happen for themselves?
A clean line out for Detroit, and they're going to elect to go with the maul. Maul collapses for the most part, but Detroit able to keep possession, and a penalty for not rolling away. Referee said Maul had ended, so Colorado has to roll away from that tackler and not doing so. And now looking to gain more territory, put it inside the 22 is Detroit.
And it seems like they're going with their operating procedure, the maul, forcing and squeaking out a penalty. Now inside of the 22 after that kick, they might elect for an additional maul. Now that they've seen how Colorado found a way to absorb the pressure of the maul, what would they do here? This is another opportunity for the tradesmen to set themselves up beautifully.
Tight to the sideline, and that line out was ruled a knock on by the referee. Not the cleanest line out from Detroit. And then you saw both teams scrambling for the ball, and the referee decides a knock on Detroit. And Colorado now is going to be able to relieve some of this pressure.
Yeah, and they have to. This is a great moment for Colorado. Essentially able to turn back and get the ball back deep in their own end after a few of their own errors, penalties called, and such. But with ball in hand, they've shown signs of being dangerous. I think they're going to go with the kick, but going with ball in hand might work for them as well.
The 8-man pick and go back inside to the flanker worked earlier for them, not this time as Detroit was able to shut it down. And now just the kick away. Not finding touch, but not taken cleanly by Detroit either. And did the Detroit player kick it? He's saying no, but the referees are both saying yes. So we will have a Colorado line out. Just unfortunate there for Detroit. Kick not finding touch for Colorado and just short, and the wing couldn't come up in time to grab it. Tried to kick it to himself, but finds touch instead. A not straight throw from Colorado. Detroit, again, we've seen 2 iffy lineouts from them, so they're going to elect to go with the scrum. We saw them drive Colorado back on their side of the field. Lance, do you think they'll do the same thing on this one?
It seems like right now is the opportunity for them to get their backs involved. And at some point, they're going to have to. A lot of what they've done, at least in this last little bit of time, has been forward orientated. And maybe that's their. But where they sit right now in a scrum situation, you can't just push every team over. You can't find a way to move every forward scrum pack. So now is a good time for them to establish a hit up in the middle of the field and maybe get in some of their open play that's got them here. Because Detroit historically has always been a very strong forward pack team. But let's see if we can find something better for him as far as these
And
backs getting involved.
and unfortunately, the prop for Colorado has gone down. Hopefully, it's nothing serious and he's able to continue here.
I mean, you got to be excited for this day in general. Northern Super Regional, and these two teams really having a history. And this is a great, essentially, round of 16 matchup for both sides. The Grizzlies really trying to get back into that national championship game, losing to a Austin Blacks team who historically has ruled over Division 3 over the last 5 to 6 years. And I know they're primed and ready to go, but this Detroit side seems like they're not going to go away or give any ground. They're going to show no quarter. And as this scrum commences, let's see how their backs get involved to get them a real shot later into this matchup.
Detroit with the put in, and they are electing to drive this Colorado side backwards. Maybe get a penalty from the referee. Referee telling the scrum half to use it, and they're going to go with a hit up with their fly half. Now straight back to the forwards. This Detroit is a heavy forward team. Colorado looking for the poach, unable to find it, and now Detroit going to go wide. Cuts back inside, has support. This is the first time we've seen Detroit with possession and keeping it inside the 22 of Colorado. And we're going to come back. Referee was playing advantage. Colorado with the poach, but the penalty coming in. And Detroit yet again electing for that scrum. They've been dominant with it all day.
4 pack rules a day for the tradesmen. And it also seems like a good opportunity to maybe sneak in 3 points. Not to say that they don't trust their kickers, or I don't know the situation specifically about who's the leg of the team, but this seemed like a good way to just get 3 points. And that adds extra pressure to a Colorado team to not give up penalties so close and really force them to play a more perfected defense, even when the pressure is on their own defensive line. But the scrum downs is this choice, and let's see how this turns out for them.
Detroit slowly driving the scrum yet again. Now they're going to run a backs play. 10, fake switch with the 12, dummies the 13. Ball hits the deck but gathered by the wing.
Ooh.
Detroit with possession. They're going to go through their fly half and find a forward pack, driving a few extra meters to their fly half again. They're going to go wide, and they have some space. The big prop finding some room to the inside center, but he gets driven backwards in a powerful tackle. And now Detroit just trying to keep possession of that ball, but it looks like it's stolen by Colorado, and it is. And Colorado now able to relieve some of that pressure. Detroit with possession the last few minutes inside the 22. But now Colorado with some space on the outside and a kick attempt, but charged down by Detroit. And we're going to have a Colorado lineup. But it seems like the field possession has switched here recently. We saw Colorado in the Detroit side for the first 12-ish minutes of the game. And now the Tradesmen, the last about 8 minutes, have been on this Colorado half.
Yeah, both sides really putting pressure in their defenses, holding strong. That mistake is the only 5 points that we see on the board right now. Detroit having a great opportunity to break the line and get down the field, showing a little bit of what their open play can actually do. But the Grizzlies standing strong.
Big run by the number 8 for Colorado, running the Tradesmen over. But a knock on by Colorado. Oh! And the Tradesmen now with possession at the 22 yet again, had some numbers wide but couldn't get the pass off. Colorado cutting the lanes off. The line pressure came up too quick for the Tradesmen, but the Tradesmen again knocking on the door but unable to get closer than this 22. They're going to go back to their fly half with the inside ball to a forward, but no one there to ruck. Help comes late, but maybe too late, as Colorado might have turned this ball over. And no, the referee's going to give a penalty to Detroit. Hands on the ground, not supporting his own weight, and Detroit getting out of one here.
And we just seen that same kind of ruck situation. Colorado Springs are making these tackle contests as messy as possible, bringing in player after player. If they find any weakness in the ruck situation, the counter ruck is definitely on for them. Got a steal earlier and could have very well likely got a steal here. Unfortunately, players are not supporting their own weight as they counter ruck, sealing the ball off. Referee is going to call that every time. But we have to show attention to Detroit's tradesmen who are not getting any kind of depth in their back line. Once open play start, they seem to be playing more of a flatter offensive structure. And with the line speed that these Grizzlies are bringing, they have no opportunity to really get the ball to space. A lot of one pass tackle situations for the tradesmen. And this kick here for these 3 points is a great reward for tradesmen.
Kick is
Flags
up
go
and
up. Yep.
good.
Yep. And it's a great reward for the tradesmen for the work they put in. But they really haven't found themselves established inside of the 22, right? Outside of the penalty kick earlier, they really haven't had an opportunity to be inside of the 22 on these Grizzlies. The line speed, the tackles from these Grizzlies who've been lifting and smacking some of these tradesmen left and right over the course of that 5 minutes we've seen, paying off for them. But with a 5-3 score line, Detroit has a lot to look forward to because they've applied their own set of pressure and got some points out of it.
Colin Tucker with the first points on the day for the tradesmen, making it 5-3. You saw the tradesmen receive many penalties at that 22-meter. Couldn't punch a try in, so they elect for the points. But we see both teams on the board here, about 22 minutes in, and now another penalty from Colorado. They've looked sloppy these last 10 minutes.
After having a trailblazing start at the very beginning, almost to the sense of showing that they can really put real pressure offensively on Detroit, and finding half breaks left and right, forcing any kind of mistake that Detroit's may create to maximize it for themselves. But again, settled into this matchup, Detroit has found a way to protect these rucks a little bit better. And Colorado are giving away penalties now and really giving Detroit a little bit of life back in the early part of this matchup.
Excellent kick to touch. And Detroit, once again, just outside that 22 of Colorado with a lineout this time. Their lineouts haven't looked all that good today. Let's see if they can get a clean one here and retain possession.
Look at the depth from this Detroit tradesman back line.
Detroit electing for the maul, but came too soon was Colorado. So now Detroit working those big forwards yet again. Hope their sub sheet looks 7-1 the way they've been working these forwards. But now they're going to go to the backs. They have space out wide, but they struggle, as you said, the depth, Lance. They've struggled to get it all the way to the wing if they have several passes to make. But now chugging along, Detroit about 10 meters out. They're going to find their fullback, Pat. And a penalty for Colorado, yet again denying Detroit of a try.
And what we're really seeing from this Colorado team, and the real reason they haven't given up a try, only 3 points, is because they are the better tackling team in this first half. Low chop tackles, getting guys on the ground, And once they have an opportunity to poach, they're on top of the ball. And just in case they don't have an opportunity to poach and tradesmen get around the support, if that support squad is lacking in any way, the counter ruck is there. They're putting an immense amount of pressure on this tradesman team. And I can see the frustration a little bit from the tradesmen who have ball in hand, showing a little bit of momentum, forward pack, putting things together. But as soon as it goes out to the backs, it seems like Detroit tradesmen find themselves in a situation where they can't keep retention of the ball.
Colorado with the clean line-out win that time. Are they going to go wide to the backs? And got their big 8-man out there running a crash line. Now the 2-on-1 on the outside elects to go back inside to their fly half. Colorado, this is the first time we've seen them in Detroit territory with possession since that first probably 15 minutes of the game where they looked dominant, but now they're going to have a knock on, and we're going to see a Detroit scrum where they've looked dominant all game long.
And not to set a precedent for the Grizzlies, but one thing I believe is going to play to their advantage is their ability to make the most out of set pieces. We seen a middle hit up just now with quick ball out to the edge, right? The ability to link when they don't play the offload game, they might actually find themselves in a great situation as this matchup persists. Once the fatigue sets in, once the Detroit forward pack really gets settled into this game and have to do the amount of work that they've done, we could see a Colorado scoring off of a set piece because they definitely have the right ingredients to make it work for themselves.
Checking into the game now. Number 18 for the Detroit tradesman, Michael, a.k.a. Tater. He's going to fill in that scrum half position about 30 minutes into this one. Again, Detroit doing what they've shown all game thus far, working their forward pack, and we're going to see a box kick now from Michael. Taking cleanly a little step inside, and now he's going to find his fullback, go out to the wing, but we're going to have a knock on. Was it in the tackle? And the referee says yes, it was in the tackle. So just a penalty, not a penalty and a yellow card for Detroit.
Mm-hmm. And they might have got away lucky with that. It's been a few times that the ball has been knocked down when Colorado has an opportunity to go to the edge. That's the one that gives them a penalty. And that's almost a professional level play because if that ball gets around the corner, we don't know what Colorado could have done. They could have found themselves in the position they are now, but with the overload and the overlap because they were moving around that corner, it could have gotten dangerous for them. Detroit defense now having to step up yet again and see what kind of caliber they bring as this Colorado side starts to up the intensity over this last 5 minutes.
Colorado with the deep line out throw, and they're again going to go to their number 8. But ball hits the deck for both sides. Referee says play on. And now referee playing advantage for not rolling away against Detroit. But back inside the 22 is Colorado. And a little kick through with some space. Who has more pace to get there? And Detroit's going to touch it down in the try zone, but referee's going to come back for that advantage. Excellent try on the chip through from Colorado. They saw the space, but Detroit able to get back, touch it in the try zone, but the not rolling away is going to give Colorado this penalty. And are they going to kick the touch? Or are they going to? Looks like they're going to go with a forward play.
Looks like they got something set up from the training ground.
Fake going to the forwards and now going to go wide with their back line. But it looks like Detroit had hands on that ball, but no, not rolling away yet again from this Detroit side. And the referee having a discussion with them.
And I believe he gave them a warning. He's talking to the captain. Yeah. Yeah. So we might be looking at some colors next time this happens. They've been slowing down play whenever Colorado has great opportunity. Colorado should take these 3 points right here, add that warning. That's just an added bonus to it. Extend this to a try lead that they have, a non converted try lead that they have, and really get to see how this game unfolds because this is going to get dangerous for Detroit if they continue with this course.
Colorado electing to go with that same setup we just saw, but this time gonna run the crash. Detroit hands on it again, but not able to take that ball away. Colorado on the doorstep, just about a meter out. And that one may have gotten over the line, and it did. Colorado, second try of the game.
I said take the 3. They said no, we'll take the 5. Now with the converted try lead, 10-3 with a conversion to come, the domination of this Detroit Tradesmen forward pack has dwindled just a bit as now this Colorado team is confident. They settled into this game a bit, is confident, and they're doing things that you expect from high IQ teams. On any kind of penalty advantage, they're going for kicks to the corners. They're using their boot to put pressure on the back three of this Detroit side. And they're making the most of every single counter ruck opportunity, it seems like. And now with that warning that Detroit got for slowing down play and doing these small infringements that end up being penalties, and adding that 5 point is insult to injury. We might see a little bit more expansion from this Grizzly side, but we really want to see if Detroit tradesmen can settle in and buck up for the last 8 minutes of this half, which is really lean towards the Grizzlies and their aggression.
Looking to add the 2 onto the try, and just a miss kick. But it went through, says the referee's barely gone over the bar. It looked to me like he had missed, but not the kick he would have wanted, but it ends up working nonetheless. Colorado adding to their lead.
Man, this has already been quite a interesting first half, right? We've seen Detroit make mistakes, give up points, battle back, get 3 points back, and then just as soon as we seen that, 2 penalties by Detroit give Colorado great field position, and they go in to score. 9 point lead going in a half is beautiful, but let's see if Detroit can cut into it with 7 minutes to go.
Detroit with the deep restart again, and knocked on by Colorado. You would have thought maybe they let that bounce into the try zone or out the back because of how deep the kick was, landing at the 5 meter, but taken not cleanly. And now Detroit set up beautifully to get this try back.
And their scrums have been pushing and grinding this Colorado Springs side early on in this matchup. The mistakes are leading the day for both sides. The extra penalties from Detroit, the errant passes early on for Detroit have given the Grizzly points. The penalties from the Grizzlies have given Detroit points. And now with that knock on right around the 10-meter line, this can spell trouble for Colorado Springs especially.
Detroit trying to drive this scrum again, not going anywhere this time, and now it's got some traction, but collapses. Now Detroit out the back. Fly half throws a skip pass all the way to the wing, but bounces. But Detroit able to keep possession of this ball. Gonna go with the forward hit up. Number 7, seen him. Tyler Williamson, seen him have some big runs already this game. The pick and go from the fly half. Don't see that too often. But at the 5-meter line, Detroit want to cut into this lead before the half. Only 5 minutes left. Detroit now only about 2 meters out from that try line. They're going to continue working their forwards on the pick and go, and it looked like he's there, and he is. A try for the Tradesmen. after having the ball several times inside the 22 of Colorado, finally putting 5 points on the board.
You know, one of the things that became evident early on this matchup is a team who makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win it. That is a rule of rugby, a rule of sport, a rule of life, but we're seeing it exemplify right in front of us. The knock on inside the 5 meter gives Tradesmen a great opportunity to score right back. And they use that pick and go. Started with their fly half. And I mean, if you got a fly half that's built like, you know, a prop, no offense, pick and goes from the fly half might be more prevalent. But again, they're pouring as many players as they can into those pick and goes, found a way to get 5. And with the conversion here, can really turn the tables in what seemed like almost catastrophic ending to the first half for them.
Kick is up and good, says our assistant referees. Detroit now only down 2. About 3 minutes left in this first half. Lance, what do you think of this first half so far?
Isn't this game beautiful, man? Isn't rugby amazing? We've seen in front of us exceptional high IQ play, physical play, great tackling from the Grizzlies side, great recognition of space from the Grizzlies side in spurts. We've seen them showcasing their defensive prowess, and we've seen the Detroit tradesmen who won't go away, who are in for the entire fight, and who have big plans to get to a national championship win themselves. What an awesome 35 minutes that we've had.
Colorado with the deep kick inside the 22 of Detroit. And Detroit looking to kick it to touch, couldn't find touch. Colorado kicking it right back, and now we have a mark called by the tradesmen. They tapped and went to their fly half who kicked it to touch earlier in the game. Are they going to do the same? Yes, they will. Needs to find touch on this one, and he will. Excellent kick, excellent way to relieve pressure right at the midfield stripe. But only a 2-point game here. 2 minutes left in this first half. An excellent one to start the day.
I mean, Colorado dangerous enough to get more points back with this minute 40 seconds we have left in this half.
They definitely are. The clean line-out win from them is going to help them do that if they want more points before this halftime whistle blows. Now, again, we've seen a few bounce passes today from both teams, but a good line break out the back from the 10, and no, out the back to the wing, but a knock on. It looked like he had plenty of space in front of him with support runners from the inside, and just unfortunately, another knock on, another mistake. And we are going to get the halftime whistle from the referee. Referee's clock is the correct clock, so 12-10 Colorado over the tradesmen at halftime. What a great game to start the day, Lance. 1 of 3 on field 2 and 1 of 7 on the day.
Yeah, we've seen a back and forth battle. 2 points is the difference on the scoreboard, but it's a level of criminal almost how the Grizzlies had a 9-point lead, had a great situation to get into the second half. One mistake can change that, and the landscape of this matchup is going to be completely different for the second half. I'm so excited, Nick.
We are going to take a break, and we will be back for second half action after halftime. I assume we're good. The Unity's down for him to talk to us. That was a good half. Saw a little bit of everything. Yeah,
But other than that,
lawn or someone. The Detroit Tradesmen versus the Colorado Springs Grizzlies. An excellent first half. Colorado has the lead 12-10. Lance, what'd you see in that first half?
I saw both teams capitalizing on the other's mistakes. I think with the switch of field, a flip, and a break, they got their water, they had their chats. Maybe both teams can tighten up because due to the mistakes, this game is close. If one team would have played a little bit more perfected or a little bit more without the small mental errors, it could be a bigger lead on both ends. So let's see how this goes.
And we were talking about it at halftime. No individual breaks, but right off the bat of the second half, had a big individual run from number 18 for the Tradesmen, Michael, and then number 4, Ryan. But Detroit already finds themselves inside the 22 of Colorado 30 seconds into this second half. But a bad pass again from Detroit, and Colorado able to come away with it. But the referee's going to call a knock-on against Colorado. But Detroit, as we mentioned at halftime, we hadn't seen really any big individual efforts from anyone. And right off the bat, Michael shows us. Michael was probably listening. He said, "Hey, I can show you guys a big run right off the second half kickoff."
I know somebody who can do it. I know one person who can. And again, each of these halves have started out with a little bit of excitement, right? Just right in front of us before we really can even settle into what's happening. Someone goes He-Man a little bit, or a team goes forward just a little bit. The break by the lock getting around the corner was just impressive. They got my blood going again. I'm ready now.
Detroit yet again going to push the scrum forward, but a penalty for Colorado. Wow, Detroit dominant all day in the scrum, but not on this one. Colorado now going to find touch, try to get out of their half of the field.
Goodness gracious. Opportunity is the name of this game.
And unable to find touch, so Detroit's going to kick it right back. But as you said, several opportunities for both teams squandered in that first half, and now again to start the second half. But Detroit playing excellent defense here after that kickback. Detroit heavy. We saw them poach the ball several times in the first half. I expect that to be a theme here in the second half. And Michael, again, with a great run, puts it down, picks it back up himself to get a few extra meters. Now we're going to see this pick and go from the Tradesmen that got them their lone try in the first half.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, don't fix it, right? I mean, if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Out the back, and their fly half going to kick to the corner with some space. And unfortunately, ball goes into touch. I believe that was the outside center, Colin, on the chase. But unfortunately, ball finds touch. And excellent kick to find the space, just not able to convert the Tradesman yet again.
Hey, with a bounce of the ball, this game could have changed completely on its head. I mean, if that ball bounces in almost any other direction than the direction that it went, we might be seeing points for either team, with Colorado having multiple players around, but Detroit having the edge if it goes further, deeper towards Colorado try zone.
Colorado has gone to their 8-man, I think, out of every lineout that they've won with that crash up the middle. Now Detroit's winner. Ryan getting some time. The pick and goes yet again. As you said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The chip over the top again. Detroit just looking to put pressure on this Colorado team, but the mark is called, caught cleanly. And now he's going to tap and play it himself instead of finding touch, and a breakthrough tackle. And now at the 40-meter line, Colorado having Detroit move backwards, and they're going to go to the forward. Both props right there in support of each other. Colorado has Detroit on the back foot, just moving forward. Another big run from the 8-man. He's had several today. Colorado seeming to break that gain line every time. And here goes the Wayne up the sideline, one-on-one against his opposition. And he's got some space in front of him, and he's going to put it down in the try zone for 5 more points for Colorado. Excellent work from the Wiener. Had some space in front of him, broke a couple of tackles, and then had the speed to finish it off.
Yeah, and you got to look at the body language of this Detroit side. The way that they scored that try was essentially just strong play from their forward packs. Once they had an opportunity to get the ball back, forward crash, and when they immediately go to find their backs, a great individual effort by their first receiver. I'm not sure what number that was from where we're standing, but amazing play to get little half breaks and really push this Detroit Tradesmen defensive line backwards. And finally, when the space needed to be found, they put it all together. The Grizzlies are the Grizzlies are doing Detroit grimy as we see it, and they're adding points on to the scoreboard. This conversion here is really just this try and conversion here can really be a testament of what works for this Colorado Spring team going forward. Confrontational in the middle of the field and going back short side against a tradesman team who's not finding and matching size and numbers. Great try by the Grizzlies.
Colorado's kicker looking to make this a 2-score game with this conversion. Kick is up and through the posts. 19-10 now. Colorado. As you said, they had several phases, 4 or 5 phases in a row that had Detroit moving backwards, breaking the gain line, and then just able to find the space with their wiener. But an excellent individual run from number 11 for Colorado, broke 2 tackles and had enough speed to put it down. I'm telling you, Lance, they must have been listening to us at halftime. No big individual runs, and now we've seen a couple from each team to start this second half.
Yeah, everyone's tuning in to the broadcast, and they know what's at stake, an opportunity to make it to the quarterfinals, Elite Eight. And it's going to take some Herculean efforts from players on each side because both teams seem to be evenly matched in spaces.
Kick straight into touch off of the restart, just a little too far from the fly half of Detroit. Colorado's going to come back. We're going to see a scrum right in the middle of the field.
Scrum down, which has earlier in this matchup has gone to the tradesman favor. The Grizzlies have found a way to squeak in their 4-pack, show spurts of dominance. Middle scrums are especially dangerous, especially if the scrum half can get involved with this set piece.
8-man pick and go. I think we've seen that off of every scrum for Colorado. And here goes the flanker up the middle of the field. Big 30-meter gain for him. But Colorado has run that. I think that's their 3rd time running that same play. And Detroit, unable to stop. They stopped it once, but the 2 other times, big gains for Colorado. And now the pick and go are on for Colorado. Now just a short ball to the prop. And we see again Colorado putting 3 players in those rucks. Do not want Detroit to poach that ball as they had several poaches in the first half. Now they're going to go wide. Fake the switch, fullback line through the middle, and he's one-on-one with his opposition, and he's going to go around him and dot it down for a try. Colorado back-to-back quick tries to start this second half.
Wow. What we saw earlier in the first half from this Colorado team, they are putting on display. I believe that was an inside ball back towards the ruck after it went to the 4-pack. But this Colorado team is finding cohesion in their back line. They got plays to set up and manipulate this Detroit tradesman side. You don't match numbers. You aren't hustling on the inside. You find yourself in really big trouble. And that try right there with a conversion could put Detroit in a very unfavorable situation. We're only 10 minutes into the second half. The Tradesmen have never been a team to wither, die, and walk away from any kind of adversity. But man, this Colorado Grizzlies side are absolutely rolling earlier in the second half.
Short kick is up and through the post, adding 2 more points to this Colorado lead. 26-10, 10 minutes into the second half, and Detroit came out blazing that first minute, found themselves deep in Colorado territory. Colorado playing some good defense, getting the penalty off the scrum, and then Colorado turning it around, finding 2 quick tries to start the second half.
In the words of the wordsmith philosopher Jay-Z, you had a spark when you started, but now you just garbage. Not to say the Tradesmen are garbage right now, but they definitely came out of the second half blazing, and immediately that light has been almost smothered as this Colorado Springs team are bringing immense pressure.
Colorado with the kickback after the restart. Detroit saying, "We don't want it. You guys have it back." Colorado thought about the kick. Excellent dummy made the Detroit player go flying by, and now they're going to work their forwards.
And even on that situation, you can see that the Detroit Tradesmen defensive line had breaks and opening and gaps in it, unable to capitalize maximum off of it. But the Springs team is really bringing a lot of pressure to this Detroit defensive line.
Detroit with possession. Excellent individual run down the sideline into the 22 of Colorado, and now Detroit set up offensively. They're going to hit their forwards. Oh, but a big counter ruck coming in, but a penalty in from the side, says the referee.
And there's bits of life in this Detroit Tradesman side. I said they won't go away quietly, and they have no plans or thought process to do such a thing. Big break down the sideline, making a few players miss the steppy. And now with a line out right around what looks like the 5-meter line and a Moss setup from the line out that's paid dividends for them earlier in this matchup, can they again set themselves up with a chance to score and get back and cut this deficit that they find themselves in? Great bit of play from the Tradesmen.
And that was number 18, Michael, once again for the Tradesmen on an individual run. And as you said, Lance, Detroit setting up this maul. Looks like it's inching forward, but brought down and an advantage now for the Tradesmen. And they're going to see if their fly half can do it. With the hit up just around that 5-meter line still are the Tradesmen, but playing advantage. And we're going to come back, and the referee looks like he wants to have a discussion with the Colorado captain and maybe one of their players.
Oh, he's reaching pocket.
And we're going to see our first card of the game, a yellow card for the Grizzlies. And that is not something you want to see. You are up 16, but dropping down a man against this dangerous Detroit side is never a good thing.
Now, here we are. Situation where Detroit Tradesmen are down 16 points with about 8 minutes into the second half with a yellow card on the board. They have to maximize this power play to really give themselves a chance to take the lead and find themselves up on the scoreboard as we commence deeper into the second half. But the first yellow going to the Colorado Springs side is quite a surprise, and it can pay off big for the Tradesmen, but they have to lock in today, right now.
The Tradesmen scrum 5-meter for them, and they're just going to push back this Colorado side, and the ball into the try zone, Excellent work from the tradesmen doing what they've done all day, driving back that Colorado scrum and just dotting it down right at the try line. Excellent work from them to cut into this lead as soon as they get the yellow card advantage.
And I believe that was number 6, Mike Washington, Davenport University baller. He's been around the Detroit Tradesmen for almost, if not over a decade. And he's been putting in work for him, spending time with that legacy group that made the highly competitive academy team in Michigan, and now giving his team an opportunity to cut this lead to single digits with the addition of this conversion. Detroit tradesmen are taking and making the most of the opportunity given by that yellow card, and we still have another 8 minutes left on it.
Kick is up and through. 17-26 now. Still in favor of Colorado, but as you said, 8 minutes left on that yellow card. Let's see if Detroit can put more points on the board, cut into this lead yet again. But Lance, Detroit with some life here.
And they never say die. It's too much time left, too much rugby to be played. The Grizzlies have now, and it seems almost like a recreation of the first half. Grizzlies coming out strong, but finding themselves with mistakes to give Detroit tradesmen a little bit of rope and an opportunity to get back in this matchup. And with that try, this game is looking really intense with 25 minutes to go.
Detroit causing a penalty after the restart, but just losing the ball there. The Detroit player trying to dive over it. And a penalty is called, and they're going to go for posts. Is Colorado try to take some time off this yellow card as well as add some points to their lead?
It's a great decision. A 12-point lead is a big difference between a 9-point lead. The maths, especially well later in matchups. When you take the 3 that opposition are giving you, it makes them a little bit more antsy to contest in those rucks when they find themselves deep in their own end. With this penalty kick right here, could smother a little bit of the momentum that Detroit made getting those 5 points earlier. But like you said, any time off of this yellow card is a bonus.
You would think this Colorado kicker would take the full minute to kick this, but he's not. He's going to set up and go for it quick and off the post, and that ball is playable. And Detroit's going to pick it up right at their try line and run it out. So no good on the kick from Colorado. Didn't even eat up as much time as he could have taking that kick, and now Detroit back to what they've worked well at all game long with those pick and goes, and now they're going to go out the back to their fly half, who's going to kick it deep, taken by the fullback at midfield for Colorado. Their most recent try scorer gets them back around 30 meters out. Colorado again having a few phases now, getting Detroit on that back foot, breaking that gain line. And an errant pass from Colorado. Ball did not come out of the ruck cleanly. And now Detroit looking to set up. I think they're going to pass it back to their fly half here. He's going to kick it away. Wasn't their fly half, but they do still end up kicking it away. Not finding touch, so it's going to be play on. Colorado again finding themselves in Detroit territory. Now going to go wide. They had some space out here. Gets cut off in the middle. This Detroit defense is coming up. Colorado's amen, but putting in a lot of work today for his side. Has a lot of carries. Big clean out in the ruck and a big run over from the prop who checked into this game early in this second half. Another line break. And these are just short line breaks just get Detroit moving backwards, even if it's a little bit, but Detroit needs to find themselves on the front foot. And now a penalty against Detroit coming in from the side. And we might see another attempt at goal here from the kicker. Take time off this clock, but they're going to go for the line out.
They're doing this with a man down. Nick, they're doing this. The forward action that we just seen, that 6-phase build up, forcing a penalty, was all done with a player down, which speaks even more to this Colorado Springs side's grit. But the tradesmen can't get the ball away. They can't find a way to get their hands on the ball. As soon as this turnover happens, they're deep in their own end. They kick it, and again, the ball is kept from them. This is an amazing bit of play from this Grizzly side. And if they find a way to get 5 points here, it can spell real danger for the tradesmen who are a man up and still can't find a way to keep possession.
But line out not cleanly taken from Colorado, and Detroit going to play it out of their own side. Fullback decides to kick it away, and it's going to roll into touch just on the Colorado half. But as you said, Lance, Detroit unable to get the ball unless it's a Colorado mistake. Tradesmen had several poaches early in this match, and Colorado learned from their mistakes. They're getting to the ruck earlier and putting 2 or 3 players into the ruck to secure that ball every time. And we haven't seen very many poaches since.
We haven't. And we've also seen Detroit trying to play in the more favorable situations of attack. In that situation right there, kick, great decision. I'm not denying the decision to kick, but with a group running forward, putting pressure on that defensive line, really striking the integrity of them on the edge, and being down by 11 points, it seems favorable to keep possession. But great job by this Detroit Tradesmen team to really choose and pick their moments to attack.
Detroit now with the steal, we were just talking about it, them not having any steals in the ruck, but a knock on the first pass after they get the ball stolen. Now we're going to see a Colorado scrum, but Detroit getting their first poach, I believe, of this half, and then turning it back over right away.
Yep. To move on, you got to play mistake free. You got to find sets and sequences in which your team can put it together to get 5 points, to get 7 points, to force penalties and force awkward situations for the opposition. They got the turnover, unable to keep possession and keep things going. Hopefully Detroit doesn't get frantic and realize they do have enough time to really make the decisions they need. Oh!
Big hit on the kick and dropped by the fullback, Pat, for the Detroit Tradesmen, but a big hit on the kick of the fly half for Colorado. Nothing called from the referee, but now it looks like he's going to have a discussion with his AR, seeing if they're going to give a penalty to Detroit here.
That kick, the player got hit in the air after the kick. Unfortunately, we don't hear the referee's conversation, but it looks as though the referee was okay with the timing of that hit, moved on past it, no penalty, no issues with it. But that knock on, I'm telling you, these mistakes are compounding. They become bigger issues. To not have ball in hand while having a yellow card on the field, while now having a power play, is definitely stressful for this Detroit Tradesman side.
Yes, we've seen Colorado have a ball a majority of the time, even though they're down a player. But this yellow card almost up, I believe, only about 30 seconds left on it. So maybe we see the ball. Next time ball stops, Colorado will be back to full strength. But as you said, these mistakes from Detroit just costing them, and the later in the game they come, the more it'll cost you, because they are down 2 scores at the moment. Ball kicked over the top from Colorado. Detroit close to that touchline, but able to stay in. And now the pick and goes yet again. It's been working for him all day long, able to relieve some pressure, get Colorado on the back foot. Detroit getting driven backwards by that big prop number 17 for Colorado.
So much can
Detroit
be said
sticking
about
with
this
their
Colorado
forwards.
performance. It's incredible how this defense for Colorado Springs has really led the day. I mean, look at gain line, nothing more, nothing extra, just gain line. Just incredible defensive line structure and tackling skills.
And Detroit 60 meters out from the try line, but causing the penalty, but only sticking with their forwards there, not finding their backs at all, even though the Colorado defense looked pretty bunched up. But Detroit sticking with their guns, saying our forwards are better than yours. Didn't get much ball forward, but we now have a penalty for not rolling away.
And it looks like time is off. All right, we're back on here. Referees just having a quick conversation about numbers.
Probably bringing that yellow card back on, so Colorado back to full strength. And this ball not finding touch. Excellent work from the winger to keep it in. But Detroit, another mistake. Just not finding touch on the penalty kick, and nice little step from the tradesmen, but need to get something going here. They haven't found themselves in Colorado territory with possession basically since that yellow card came out. So need to get something going. Ball on the ground, just kicked away from the fly half. Colorado playing the territorial game now, pinning Detroit deep, knowing Detroit needs to keep possession to put some points on the board here. Short ball to the forwards and then out the back, but no, knocked on Detroit. Another mistake, and Colorado is going to be set up inside 40 meters from the try zone, but as soon as they go to their backs, as soon as they try to get it wide, just another dropped pass for this Detroit team.
And I believe we all can starting to see where this Detroit team might be lacking a little bit. And not even in the sense of their backline not being capable, but even just the trust of their backline. They haven't been using them as much. They haven't really used the entire space. This Chicago Blaze compound has wide fields. You can play in as much space as you need to, but Detroit are convicted or convinced to stay with the forward pack.
We see that 8-man pick back inside to the flanker yet again. It's worked most of the day for this Colorado team, but I believe that ball was poached by Detroit, and it was, but rolled too many times on the ground after the poach. Detroit getting their hands on that ball, but now Colorado going to kick for posts, trying to add to this lead as well as take some time off this clock.
Tick, 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 tick. That is the name of the game as we get into this later part of the matchup. Earlier in the first half, our game clock ended, the half ended with about 38 minutes left, with 38 minutes elapsed. So I can assume that we might be a little bit off on the time perfect. It looks like the tradesmen have less than 10 minutes to overcome an 11-point lead, which could stretch to 14 points. And with the way this Colorado Springs defense has been playing, the lack of depth from this Detroit tradesman attack, and the lack of inclusion from their back line, this might be an insurmountable lead if this goes through.
does not go through. It is pushed wide from the lefty kicker. Touchdown in the try zone, so we're going to see a 22-meter drop, but that's the second kick missed from this Colorado team and here in the second half, and just unfortunately unable to add to this 2-score lead, because as you mentioned earlier, 12 points is a lot worse to come back to than 9.
Oh, my math was off. Excuse me.
No, you had it.
Yeah, I said 11-14 no, instead of 9-12.
Either way, that 22 was blocked by Colorado, and they're going to retain possession, but knocked on. And now Detroit with a scrum. All these set pieces just draining this clock for Detroit. About 10 minutes left in this game. They need to put 2 tries on the board, or a converted try and a penalty kick.
No better time than the present. No better moment than right now. It has to happen for them as soon as possible, because the way that this Colorado defense is tackling, the way that they're approaching aggressively defensively, Detroit Tradesmen has to find their sauce as soon as possible.
They're going to go with the playmaker, Michael. He's going to pick and go off of the scrum. And now they're going to go back to their forwards. Now they're going to work their back line, but an inside ball to the forwards. Detroit just not. It seems like with all the drop passes and bad passes that Detroit doesn't have full faith in this back line to give it to them late in this game.
Yeah, and if there's ever a moment for them to step up, it has to be soon. I mean, it's possible for them to get points using their forward pack, but that would rely on Colorado Springs to give them penalties to milk some of the time, give them penalties and get down the field by that tactic. And that's a tough way to win a matchup against a forward pack who are as aggressive defensively as the Colorado Springs are. And you can't really rely on the other team giving you penalties and milking penalties to get ahead. You got to find a way to force those situations, to put pressure, and playing left to right, sideline to sideline is a great way to get to that end. But Colorado Springs defensively have shown up and showcased themselves pretty well earlier in this matchup and leading into the second half.
Detroit taking their time to set up this line out. Maybe not time that they'll have, but we see them go with the maul. It has worked for them this match, driving this Colorado team backwards. Now about 25 meters out. We're going to see the maul collapse, but advantage being played for the Tradesmen. Now it looks like they're going to give it.
Another card for pulling out another maul.
Wow.
Number 19.
Wow. That is the second yellow card for Colorado, and both of them, as you said, Lance, for pulling down the maul. And Detroit put a try on the board right after that first yellow card. Can they do it again?
I mean, in all things considered, Colorado Springs will be down a player for the remainder of this matchup as we're inside of 10 minutes. Scary times for Colorado Springs because, like you said, Detroit scored in the beginning of the second half off of a yellow card, almost the same situation. Now they have another maul set up for themselves. If Detroit Tradesmen can score here, find a way to cut this lead to under a penalty kick, Colorado Springs might be in real danger.
And Colorado electing to contest this maul, even though down a player. And Detroit just working it closer and closer to that try line. Maul collapses, but Detroit able to keep possession of it. And now the pick and goes are back on for Detroit. And they put one on the board right after the yellow card is given to cut into this lead. Detroit using their forwards yet again to find the try zone.
It's funny. I just said you can't rely on the other team giving you penalties. You have to force that pressure in order to get them. You can't rely on the milking of the penalties. And as I say that, Detroit tradesmen, in normal fashion, going against the words of myself, have figured out a way to score 5 points, a 4-point deficit, and a man advantage with less than 6 minutes to go. This is scary hour for Colorado Springs. Last year's runners-up in nationals find themselves in a highly contested, contentious match, and with this conversion can be in real danger of losing with any additional points added to the board.
And this conversion is important, and it goes through, cuts the lead down to only 2 points for Colorado. So now a penalty anywhere, you would think inside maybe 35, 40 meters would be a kick at goal for Detroit.
And what an incredible turn of events. And both teams, no matter how this game ends, both teams, the winner will feel as though they snuck out with a win, even though they didn't play their absolute best. And the loser will recognize that they made far too many mistakes, giving the opposition a chance to win. And this is going to be quite an ending to this matchup.
And the referee just telling both sides there are about 5 minutes left in this game. So our clock on your screen is close to correct. But now ball on the ground, and we're going to have a penalty for Detroit. And Colorado just with some compound mistakes here late in this one.
Tick, 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 tick. Now the clock might actually be working against Colorado, even though they have the lead. Down a man, and could find themselves giving away points way too late into this matchup to even respond back. Detroit tradesmen have found a bit of resurgence, and their forward pack have kept them in this game and now have given them a chance to take the lead, but they have 60 meters to make that happen. How would Detroit put points on this board?
Not the best kick to touch we've seen today from the Detroit kicker, but keeping the ball with his team. And now the maul yet again. They've gotten back-to-back yellow cards on it against Colorado and playing advantage yet again for Detroit. And he's going to intentionally knock it on. But I'm sorry, I thought the referee was holding advantage for a penalty, but he was playing advantage for a knock-on for Detroit. And that's what Michael was thinking too. He thought we're going to get a penalty out of this, so I'm going to intentionally knock it on, but he was playing advantage for a knock-on and now taking time to set up this scrum. We're going to have to see the tradesmen back at works here, Lance. Last few times they've gotten the ball, it hasn't looked the cleanest.
Yeah, they're forced to now, right? With the time and circumstances, you can't keep going to the forwards.
Few clean passes there. They're going to get it to their inside center. And good job gaining meters. And now straight back to the forwards is Detroit. But no, they're going to go out the back and swing it wide. Had some space out wide, but elects to take it up the middle at midfield now. Just over 2 minutes left in this one. Almost intercepted by Colorado, but excellent take from the tradesman. Now some space on the outside, and it's found. And he kicks over the top to himself. Does he have the pace to get it? Or were Colorado's just going to kick it out the back of the try zone, and we're going to see a 5-meter scrum.
Oh my goodness.
For the tradesmen.
Oh my goodness. It is going to be an ESPN classic ending right here With Colorado Springs reeling, a man down and a 5-meter scrum with less than 2 minutes in this matchup, any penalty, any score of any kind for Detroit Tradesmen will give them the lead after being down the entirety of this matchup. Absolute heart and determination and never say die attitude from this Tradesman side. And Colorado Springs are reeling as we set up for this scrum. This last bit of play is going to determine who moves into the quarterfinals for the D3 National Championship. This Northern Super Regional is giving us fireworks early on.
And we've seen Detroit drive this scrum all game long. Will it be the same here? Slowly moving forward. Colorado getting driven back. An advantage penalty for Detroit inside the 5-meter. And now you're going to think we're going to see these pick and goes again. And we are. Michael, the scrum half, trying to take it himself up the middle. He's going to get held up close to the try line. His teammates trying to rip it from him. They do, but we still, the referee playing advantage, and we're going to come back. Detroit.
They go quick. Nope. Nope. They faked it. They faking out a little bit.
Referee had stopped the clock before that scrum, so there's probably only about 30 seconds left, but still, we're going to see a scrum for Detroit again. Lance, this might be the last play of the game.
This might be the last play of the game. And regardless of how this matchup ends, what a first game for both sides here at the Chicago Blaze Rugby Complex. My goodness.
Referee didn't like how that scrum was set up, so we're going to do it again. Both teams trying to get an advantage. They know what's on the line here. If Detroit puts any points on the board, they will play tomorrow. If Colorado stops them, they will head into the finals tomorrow for the Super Regional. Colorado still down a player from that yellow card, and Detroit driving this scrum backwards, and the 8-man's going to pick it up, even though they were still driving that scrum. And now you think the pick and goes are going to come out for Detroit, and they are. We've seen them score twice like this today.
Three's a charm, Nick. Three's a charm.
They are inside that 5-meter line, probably 2 meters out from the try line, but no one there to support. And Colorado had their hands on the ball, but not taken, says the referee. And that ball is close to the try line, but not in yet. The backs for Detroit calling for the ball, saying we have space. But the forwards have put in the work all day long.
The ball came out!
And stolen by Colorado. But the kick not in touch. And now Colorado trying to kick it to touch, but can't. And it just dribbles down the field, still in play.
There's no way Colorado scores here.
And Colorado's
There's no way
going to kick it all the way into the try zone. And Detroit jumps on it. And he tries to run it out, but he says touchdown. And I believe the referee, we're going to come back for an advantage somewhere. Maybe a knock-on, but the referee blows the final whistle. An unbelievable ending to this tremendous first game. Colorado Springs Grizzlies 26-24 over the Detroit Tradesmen. Lance, what a final 30 seconds of play.
They survived. And if you were to tell me that with the advantage inside of the 5, with a scrum down to come and a yellow card on the board for the defending team, that no points will be added, I would not have believed it. Somehow in the pick and goals that have been working miraculously and the forward pack that's been controlling the whole matchup all day for the Detroit Tradesmen side, lose the ball, and Detroit Tradesmen are eliminated at a 2-point loss to the Colorado Springs Grizzlies after a Herculean defensive effort by Colorado. I am out of breath. I am done. Nick, please. Oh, my goodness.
Wow, what a tremendous